Day 198 of the Ukrainian war map, also known as the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Jozzy here, and today is a bit of a big update as I take a simplified and down-to-earth approach to the happenings on the ground in Ukraine. And as always, we'll start off with the Russian military losses, both personnel and the actual hardware there as well. So as of the 9th of the 9th, 22. Now, Russian military personnel lost in action, eliminated, whatever you want to call it. Bit of an uptick here, an additional about 700 or so in the last day, and I'll explain why that is soon. When we look at the actual hardware, there's an additional 18 losses for the armored combat vehicles, an additional 10 tanks, and 11 artillery. Oh, and we've got one chopper there as well. And I'll show you why. These are always quite big numbers, not the biggest, but still quite large there. And I'll show you why in just a tick. So we'll move across to the map firstly, where the situation in Kharkiv is extremely fluid. That is to say, it's developing very rapidly. So we'll take a bit of a zoom in and we'll start in the Kharkiv Oblast today, where the UK forces, so Ukraine, has liberated over 400 square miles since September began. And much of it is right here in the Kharkiv region. Now, countless settlements have been liberated. It all really started here in Balaklia. Then the forward movement to Volokiv Yar, and really all the way down to Kupiansk right here. So this is really close to a very strategic city of Izium, a little bit further below. But I'll just quickly show you a tweet of what might be considered more accurate at the time of recording here. In fact, I dare say that this even is a little bit out of date. But what you can see is a massive push from the Ukrainian forces in the last day or two in this general region. And since so much has happened in the last 24 hours, it's best I go a bit easier on the map today. There's a lot of pictures and footage to show you of the Ukrainian counteroffensive in this region here. It's impossible for me to put all of this in order and show you everything, but I'll certainly try my best. And it almost might be like speed reading, but this first one is a bit of a good video. So at Balaklia, right there, sort of southeast of the Kharkiv city. And this is kind of what liberation looks like. When you freeze frame on this Russian propaganda overtaking the sign, it's said in Russian, "We are with Russia, one people," and certainly promptly taken down when the U forces arrived. The Russian forces, when they originally entered, wasted no time putting propaganda and overtaking the signs. It's a cute little grocery dinosaur sign behind it talking about getting all your shopping needs. Next up, we've got some video footage of flags being placed, Ukrainian flags, at this rooftop in Balaklia as well, so that's always nice to see. Then up next, we have a Ukrainian flag raised in Shevchenkovo, which is just a little bit more inland or to the east of the Russian offensive. Then we've got yet another photo of Shevchenkovo, the entrance, in fact, there, as you can see. And this nice lady resident, they're rebranding the colors back to yellow and blue with a big old thumbs up. Also nearby, we've got this photo of at Blay Odativka, flag being raised there also. And then a little bit of footage of yet another flag being raised at a communications tower at Yassy Nuvate. Now, if we were to look at the map, Yassy Nuvate is actually in red over here near this natural water location. Obstacle, as I like to call it. So this map isn't quite up to date. In fact, on this deep state map, I've seen something today that I don't think I've really ever seen before that much. Push after push after push after push, 4 in a row in one day. Then we've got some pretty good footage of how the Ukrainian forces are met when they actually liberate territories in this region, settlements. So we can see the civilians here are just waving at them, loving that they're liberated and that the Russian troops have left. Fleed, really. Then we've got a photo of Izium. So we've arrived at Izium, the Ukraine forces, so that's nice to see too. Notice the colors on the sign here as well, yellow and blue. But there is also no shortage of military hardware, tanks, fighting units, infantry fighting vehicles, all things of that nature that Russia left behind when it fled. Many in pretty good working condition too. Like this photo of a Russian BTR-80 APC, so an armored personnel carrier captured. And we've also got actually a T-72B3, so a sort of an upgraded, more recent variant, I think from about 2016 with the upgrades, tank that was captured in reasonable condition as well. Then we've got this other footage of a different Russian BRT-80 APC, captured as well, in good condition. Followed by a picture of a BMP-2M. Apparently these ones are quite rare, so based off an older design but upgraded to the teeth with new offensive equipment and capabilities like new optics, grenade launchers, a new turret, just a whole bunch of stuff. And we've got another photo of the same sort of thing, BMP-2, which was donated to Ukraine from the Russian army as of today as well. But also, when some Russian forces decided to flee, they, in some instances, decided to try to destroy some of their own equipment. Like in this video here, we've got where the Russian forces drowned 3 infantry fighting vehicles. We just call them IFVs for short. And abandoned a whole bunch of ammunition as well. Note the Z symbol on the tanks there as well, or really the IFVs in this case. And we've got a quick photo of 3 BRTs that were all abandoned as well. This is different from the ones I mentioned just a minute ago in this video. The Russians really must have been in a hurry. Now the situation is so fluid, like I say, that we even have some footage of Russian mutiny. So we've got a group of essentially forced Russian infantry conscripts with barely functional IFVs and just 3 days training, they said, and they were sent to the front line. And this video is basically all about them refusing. There's really a lot to digest here, but stuff like this is likely to continue happening more and more now. And then we've got another video of another batch of Russian POWs, now POWs, who didn't manage to keep up with the hasty retreat, I suppose. But as I always say, don't worry too much about these guys. They'll probably be treated better as POWs in Ukraine. Not even joking, really. Better fed, better housed, better clothed, you name it, they'll get it. Now, it wouldn't be fair of me to show all this footage and photography without showing the Russian side. So the Russian Ministry of Defense put out this video of allegedly showing reinforcements that are to arrive to Kharkiv, the Kharkiv Oblast. Now, there is no way to verify this footage, when it was taken, what's really happening here, but this has happened before, so it's just so staged looking. They've got the wide angles, then we pivot to the close-up angles, then behind with the trailer of the howitzer on the road. Over the many months now, 6 or 7 months, Russia has staged fake footage during this war multiple times, and just in an attempt, I believe, to scare off the Ukrainian forces from doing something, but it never works. So their actual forces didn't work out, so their backup plan is a bit of further propaganda. I can't even say that is to say propaganda. Now we'll go back to the map for a moment. I am wondering which one is the best to do with. Probably this one, because it is more accurately reflecting the current moments, roughly. And so we've got this river right here, the Oski River. So what the Ukrainian forces are doing is, well, actually there's a few bridges here. They're probably going to be HIMARSed out, disallowing the ability for any remaining Russian forces here to retreat. Well, many will be captured. Some, unfortunately, will have a worse fate, but they'll effectively be cornered. You might remember this strategy from the Kherson front. So what's all happening here at the moment? Why is Ukraine able to successfully push forward in the Kharkiv Oblast region so well? It's hard to say for certain at the moment, but part of my own opinion would include, and I haven't really read this anywhere, or no one's really discussed it, but maybe, just maybe, Ukraine performed a bit of a head fake, so to speak, like they do in sports. So they move in one direction, they go in the other. I'm reminded of Michael Jordan in his last championship title there, at the very last second to win the game. But here's the thing, Ukraine was talking about an August counteroffensive quite publicly in the Kherson Oblast around July time. So what does Russia do? Russia built up troops in that area, particularly that North Bank area of the Kherson Oblast. I'll show you shortly on the map. In fact, I may as well show you now as I'm talking about this. Around here, Russia put 25 to 30,000 Russian soldiers here, expecting a counteroffensive from the Ukrainians on this in this whole Kherson region. Then, potentially, again I hypothesize this, the Ukrainian army pulls the biggest heist of the century when it comes to war, taking the ill-equipped Russian Kharkiv Oblast front line in a bit of a blitzkrieg, so all of a sudden just taking it out. And Russia did not build up forces here in the same way that they did in the Kherson Oblast. So no doubt more locations are going to be liberated right here, even before the next video. Multiple. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Again, extremely fluid, and we'll see how it continues. And I'll finish off with a couple of the other oblasts / provinces around the area. We'll move across to Zaporizhia, where there was actually an ammunition depot fire at Tokmak yet again. This must be the third, fourth, maybe even the fifth time. No, wait, at least the fourth. And we've got a bit of footage there to show that one as well. Something that I don't have a photo or footage for yet is that there was said to be heavy explosions reported in Berdyansk. I don't know if you follow all my videos, but yeah, a couple of weeks ago, when the Tokmak ammo depot was exploded, the Russian forces decided to pull back a lot of their ammunition and supplies and logistics lines, everything all the way back to Berdyansk. And this is probably no different. Maybe a HIMARS has got it from a little bit north. Let's see if we can reach it. Maybe an ATACMS. We'll see, but it's hard to say. Yeah, a little bit outside of the range of the standard issue HIMARS missiles that Ukrainians have. So, yeah, could have been a drone. Could have been a suicide drone of sorts. And speaking of explosions or things of that nature, we have a big fire near Novofedorovka in the Crimean Peninsula, the Russian-occupied Crimean Peninsula, right next to Saki Air Base there, of which there was a little bit of news there yesterday. And then we'll move up, and I'll mention certainly a little bit, at least, of the Kherson counteroffensive, which is still in full swing. There are gains being made. There are Russian troops doing a bit of shelling of the front line still. Let's have a look at the satellite firms map. That is to say, it's meant to show explosions, or sorry, wildfires, but it seems to show explosions as well. Doesn't seem that strong in the last 6 to 12 hours, in fact. But there is said to be a bit of shelling from the Russian side. From where? Not exactly sure. Maybe over this region. So, I mean, certainly where there's a lot of, let's say, potentially somewhat quite trapped or cornered, at least, Russian forces on this north bank of the Dnipro River. And not very surprising, but there was another fire after shelling in Nova Kakhovka around here. This is a terrible photo, but it's all I've got there at the moment. And we've also got a telegram talking about barges being blown up. So this is how Russian troops help to transport back and forth the Dnipro River at Hola Pristan. So this telegram here, which is says in Ukrainian, let's see, we're checking the sources, but the resistance is engaging or happening or getting there, they're saying. I'm just doing my best to read Ukrainian. And just lastly on the map today, we actually leave the Ukrainian territory. We go back to Belgorod. We're going here quite a few times in the last few days. And there was explosions near the Belgorod city there. Reportedly, one of the missiles launched towards Kharkiv exploded. So low quality, low R&D, not great quality stuff from the Russian side sometimes. This sort of happening isn't the first time it's occurred either. And I'm gonna round off the day today. It's hard to get the format so perfect, especially when there's so much news happening at the moment, especially on the actual map itself. But in terms of more non-map related news, so we'll start off and details of the new 700 million package, our military aid package from US to Ukraine has been announced, which includes additional ammo for the HIMARS, 4 105mm howitzers with nearly 40,000 rounds, additional HARM or anti-radar missiles, 100 armored Humvees, 5,000 anti-armor systems and grenade launchers, and 50 armored medical treatment vehicles, among other things. There was some night vision devices included in the mix there as well. And in other news, the director of the Central Intelligence Agency, that is to say the CIA, Joseph Burns in the States, said that, and best to quote this one, he said, not only has the weakness of the Russian military been exposed, but there is going to be long-term damage done to the Russian economy and to generations of Russians as a result of this, referring to the war there. Then he also went on to say that Russia's war in Ukraine is a failure. It's hard to see the record of the war, Putin's record, as anything other than a failure so far. Obviously, Putin won't like that and will deny it. In fact, he's been denying it all the last few days. He's saying, it's fine, we haven't lost anything. He literally said we haven't lost anything a day or two ago. So what does his soldiers count for? I don't know. Cannon fodder? I don't think he cares about them. And in other news, the European Council adopts full suspension of visa facilitation agreements with Russia. So basically, the move will make it harder and more costly for Russian citizens to enter the EU. The measure will enter into force on September 12th. And just a bit of a funny to round out the day, or the closest thing to it for now. Again, it's maybe not that funny too, perhaps just certainly my quirky sense of humor at the moment, but the Ukrainian General Staff said Russian forces have been forcibly conscripting men in the Kharkiv Oblast. So we are talking about the Russian-held regions. So men of conscription age have been detained and were sent to Vovchansk, to the so-called recruitment center, he went on to say. Now, all I can do is sigh, because forcibly conscripting people that, let's just say, hate you, will really work out for your fighting capabilities. I can definitely see how that would backfire. And it really reminds me of an expression in North America that says, don't drink your own Kool-Aid, which in this context means don't believe your own BS, or more specifically in this case, the Russian commanders, Russian recruiters, Russian anybody will believe the propaganda crammed down their throats that says something to the effect that Ukrainians want to be Russians and they want to be liberated and all those sorts of hoo-ha things. When it comes to propaganda-driven states, countries, there is such a weird level of insanity sometimes that goes along with this way of being. But I'm going to keep it there for now, guys. Thanks for watching. Please leave a comment, subscribe, hit that like button, ignore the trolls. I do wonder what they'll say today with this type of video, though. With all that visual confirmations, the flags being put up, the signage, the Ukrainian forces on the doorstep of really almost the Russian border there in Kharkiv. Yeah, we'll see what they say, but try not to engage with them too much. It'll take up too much of your day, trust me. So thanks again, and I do hope to see all of you guys there in the next one. Cheers.